right. So today I have the pleasure of being with Dr. Torch, otherwise known as Paul Todd Feldman. He is a long-term Star Wars CCG player, very highly skilled player, and he's been here a while. He's also a gentleman. He has offered to help people on occasion, including me, and so we appreciate it. And so love to get his insights today. So, Dr. Torch, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's start with today, 2025. How do you feel about Star Wars CCG? General thoughts on the game? How is it? Is it still fun for you? You're still playing it, obviously. What do you think in general?
I enjoy it. I think it's the best game that I've ever played, and it was all by chance because but I've also not played any other card games. So, I mean, other than poker and real cards, but
Sure.
not a customizable card game. So, but I enjoy it. I found it again. I left the game in 2000,
Okay.
and right when, right actually, right after that Worlds, I just said never again, and
Okay.
then never
Uh,
say never.
okay. Okay. So all right. I would love to get the story of why you kind of quit there, but when did you come back to the game? Like what when did you visit again?
um, I don't know how I got back into the game. I somebody was somebody had reached out to me and said that there were people playing tournaments. So I said, you know what? I have my old cards. I took my son. I said, you want to play? I'll give you some decks. And I have four boys. So one of
Nice.
them, my oldest ones, decided he'd want to go play. And so we went down there and played. And um, I didn't know about virtual cards. I didn't even know they existed. And so I played in a live person tournament. I think there was like 10 people or something. So it was pretty good turnout, I guess, for a dead game. And then they all told me about GAMP. So I went on to GAMP and I'm like, this is great. I can sit and relax and decompress and play card games at night. And
Nice. Nice.
that's what I do.
Okay. And do you know what year this was? Was this like 2020, 2019, or
This
what?
was, yeah, somewhere around the COVID, right? Either it's either right before or right after. Everything blends together with
Sure.
me.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't, I don't. For, if you talk to a few people that actually talk to me in person,
Yeah.
that are how to talk like this, they'll tell you that if people don't believe it. I don't know the cards. I don't even know the names of a lot of the cards. I just know what they do by the picture.
Nice.
And so, so it's like I mix them up all the time. If you talk to Eddie or somebody he has to speak my language, which is, I'll say, insurrection. I still don't know if that's the dark or the light side docking bay puller.
Insurrection is the light side. Yeah. Imperial Arrest Order
Light
is the
side.
dark
Okay,
side.
so Imperial
Yeah.
Rest Order is the dark side.
Yes.
Okay, I do know that now that but
Yeah.
so okay.
Okay. No, that's great. No, and I remember you made the same comment on the forums. You play no other card games, and I believe you kind of got invited along with several people to do like some play testing for like the Star Wars TCG from Wizards of the Coast. And
Yeah,
and your comments and kind of the game chat was it wasn't good. And I asked the same thing to Johnny Chu. He said it was just rolling dice. It wasn't good. I don't know if you have any more feedback from that play test you did and how that was, like what that was like.
I think I was the only one that was politically correct. I gave them a neutral feedback, and they used my feedback. I saw it floating out on the internet for a little bit, and then I've never looked for it, but I saw that they had used that. But it was horrible. It was nothing like this. This is strategy, and I enjoy it, and it's fun, and it's with Star Wars, and I mean, as you can probably see behind me, there's Darth Vader's helmet. I'm a
Yeah,
fan,
nice.
so
Uh, Yeah,
so.
I mean, obviously it's a different game. Obviously, you're right. Star Wars CCG is a deep game, like, and man, I guess I think some people like call like it's like a game that never ends because if you know what your opponent's playing, you can always switch in and out the cards, right? You're still playing today. Obviously, do you think Star Wars CCG is a solved game, right? Or do you think it's dynamic, for the retro formats, or what do you think?
It's a what game?
A solved game, right? Like, the highest tier player versus highest tier player, right? But obviously, you're a very skilled player. But like Andy
Oh
Tlaga,
no, anyone can win. Anyone can win. You know, right now Andy's tearing it up, and he's the man to beat right now this year. So you
Andy.
know, it goes up and down. I mean,
Yeah.
there's all sorts of factors. Anytime you deal with cards,
Yeah.
um, you know, there's the luck factor, there's the random factor, but this is a skill game, so you see the same names usually over and over again because they kind of get the concept of it. But anyone can lose. I've lost a bunch of games.
No, no, it's true. It's true. And you're also a tenacious player, right? You know, you said yourself, I don't give up. So there are there's a few games like I thought you would lose and you clutched it in. And there's a game where I thought I was going to beat you, and you had to draw their fire, and I couldn't use my gick, and I was very sad. So I learned a lesson that day that some people just hold their draw their fire their whole game. You know, they wait for the exact right
Yeah,
moment. You know.
I never give up. I know I go down with a fight, and it's not that I want to drag a game out, it's I'm learning from that game. You know, back in the day, differential meant something. So to just give up means you're basically forfeiting. And so you'd play it out and you'd make the game as close as you possibly can. You know, and that's to me good sportsmanship, not delaying the inevitable because the inevitable. I mean, I went to one worlds on a surprise assault. Go figure, huh? I like that card. So, but the guy thought he had it won. He was a friend of mine,
Yeah.
and he teared up. I felt bad for him, but he thought the game was over. He forced trained, and I surprise assault and ended up getting my ticket punched to world qualifiers.
Okay. Well, maybe we should segue to the stories, right? And then maybe we'll get to that world. So, how did you get into Star Wars CCG in the beginning? Like, what's your origin story? How did that kind of come about?
It was just kind of stupid. I'm a Star Wars collector, and so I have I wanted the shirts. So I just and the only way you could get the shirts and the stuff was to win a tournament. So I learned the game to win the tournament so I could get the stuff. And then I found out I really liked the game. I just thought I would have to go through the motions to get it. And so that's basically how it started. Then I was like, oh, this game's great. So and then it's kind of addicting. I don't know about you, but I find myself when I want to decompress, get on GEMP and play a game and then go to bed.
There is definitely a competitive aspect. There's the aspect of I want one more game because I just lost and now I gotta, I gotta get one in. Yeah, no, I agree with you there. And this is a premier tournament, and this was in California, or like where, like what was the context
It
of
was in
this?
California. It was in California. It was at our local comic book store. And they said they're going to throw a tournament, and I was like, okay, have fun. And he knew I bought a bunch of the boxes of cards just to put a set together. And and then he said, oh, look at the prize they sent me. Decipher sent out some shirts. And I said, oh man, can I just give you some money for it? And he said, no, you got to play in it to win it. And I was like, oh, all right. So I then started reading the cards. And so that's how it started. It was literally that silly. So
Wow. Okay. And this was Premiere only, or this was like Premiere New Hope, or do you remember
I
the
think it started with Premiere. I'm pretty sure it started with Premiere. Um, it all dominoed from just me buying the packs to playing to doing well at it to people coming to want to play in tournaments I'm at because I had points that if I lose, you get my points. And so and then they had a rating kind of like chess. So the rewind is I'm an athletic director and I'm a coach. So
yeah.
this is my relaxation. This isn't my competition.
Okay.
So when I step aside, this is for me to wind down because this is all supposed to be fun. It's a game. And so but I mean I take it seriously, obviously. I enjoy it. I don't play anything to lose,
Sure.
but this is a relaxation. So anyways, I did this as a kind of a break to from reality, the stresses of competing and so on, to kind of just have some fun and play and get a Star Wars shirt, or and then it just became an addiction to where I just really, really liked the game. And then Decipher asked me to be a red leader, and so I was a red leader, and but I wasn't a good red leader, and I wasn't a good. I was good for the game, but not good for running tournaments. So,
Because you were just
but
busy with other things, or you didn't quite want to work?
no, what happened is we had a huge base here, and I ran a tournament, and not a lot of people came to the tournament compared to when I play in the tournament. When I play in the tournament, people came out of the woodworks. I mean, we even one time I get called up from the comic book store, and they said there's a guy from Germany here. And when he had literally come to Turlock, which is in the middle of nowhere in California. It's in the Central Valley. It's not like you go to San Francisco or Los Angeles. He came to play me, and so I thought that was kind of cool, and we became friends. And I haven't talked to him in a while, but Winford Sommerfeld, he did the translation for Decipher for the German cards.
Oh, nice.
So that was I have a picture of him somewhere. We're sitting there playing a card game, and they ended up spending the night at my place with my wife and his wife. And so
Nice.
we went to a movie, the one with Bruce Willis, and he's running around, trying to save some girl. And
The Fifth
it's
Element, or what?
Fifth Element. That's
Yeah,
it. That's what we saw together.
nice. I
Okay.
like that movie. That was a good
I'm
one.
bad with names. I told you that.
No, it's all good. If I can remember, we'll go there. So that's cool. And I guess like it's a little bit different because you were an adult at this time, and I guess you had children during Star Wars CCG's run, right?
Yeah,
Right. Whereas a
I
lot
was
of
didn't have them when I started.
oh, okay,
I had one halfway through the Decipher tournaments. So that's what made it easy to quit too, because then I was going to have another one and another one. And so, yeah, I was an adult, which also made life easy because I could afford the cards.
sure,
So I was I was in my early 20s when I started playing. And so I had a job, and I could buy a box of cards, where that's a huge advantage, I guess, when you can easily buy a Darth Vader.
no, it
So
is, especially then. I think no, I think Hayes was
back then, yeah.
yeah, no, I think Hayes was talking about he had to use like what would it call like TIE Scout asteroid decks. He had to use like kind of so that as cheesy decks as he could make, that he could afford because he couldn't do mains, for a lot of these people. So my
Yeah, no, and it's a huge advantage, and I feel for the people that can't, that couldn't do that, and then it's kind of like the rich get richer. When you start winning, they give you packs, and you get more and more and more, and so the disparity. That's why those decks become so fun, is you can crack a Darth Vader and an Obi-Wan deck with some tricks.
sure. And so were you running tournaments as well as attending kind of these tournaments all
I
throughout
did
kind
a
of
couple.
okay.
I did a couple. I partnered up with a bunch of people, and then basically I would play, and I remember they said, "Hey, you got to run a couple," and then I showed them what happened when I ran them. The attendance dropped,
Oh no.
and when I played in them, the attendance went up. So I was
Hmm.
like, "Yeah, I can run them, but you're gonna get like 20 people, 18 people, or you could have 40."
Okay. And
So
why is that? Because people would want to beat you to get the decipher ranking up. Is that the difference?
I think that's what it was, because then I would rally our guys, let's go play, and we're gonna go do it. And even some of the guys I played with, I don't think they would want to play. They go, oh, why even play? There's gonna be a bunch of kids, and the competition. So that dwindled a little bit too. When you got, I don't know the reasoning, but we
Okay.
had a pretty good group. Some of the group became better after I left, because I know that, like, Kevin Shannon was one of the players that played with me,
Yeah.
and I know he won a world after Decipher.
he did like a later. I don't know the exact year off the top of my head, but it's on the players committee
Yeah,
website.
he's a very smart person, and so I believe he would do it. And he used to go around, so
Yeah,
in our group.
and no, and he could have been at the top two in the world, but one of his matches he won was a timed win, and so he needed 6 points, but he got 5 points instead because a timed win gave you 1 point, and an actual full win gave you 2 points.
This was in 2000, right?
Correct. This was in 2000, and you were there too,
Yeah,
obviously.
I was hoping he was going to win
Well,
because of the shenanigans.
yeah. No, he probably a good chance.
Because he was
So
not a part of the shenanigans. He's a good guy. So,
yeah.
but
No, I believe you. I'm going to try to talk to him later. I have to try to still schedule with him, but no, looking forward to
yeah, I
that
haven't seen
too.
him in a long, long time. He was like he was. I know he scored super high on the military test, so he did. He went into the military and just a super smart kid.
Awesome. So now you told me earlier you attended all the worlds, and so we had a worlds in '96.
No,
No, well, all of except one, right? Uh,
one. Yeah, I did. I didn't go to one in the year my son was born.
okay. So
And I'll
did you
have
go?
to look here. I'm gonna
Okay,
here.
sure.
Let me look. I can tell you. I pulled this stuff out so I would know because I think I told you wrong too. 96, 97, 99, and 2000. 98, I did not. I was looking at those little plastic plaques they give you.
Okay.
So
All right. So the 1996 Worlds, that's yeah, Raphael Asselin. I think thinks Canadian. I think he won that one, got
he's
first place.
awesome. Yep.
So
He's great.
yeah, so tell us about that tournament. Obviously, it's a long time ago. Premier, New Hope only. Do you remember what you ran? What was it like going to the tournament? Like,
Yeah, I remember exactly what I ran.
okay,
And if I knew what I knew now, then I would have been champ. Because I did something that whether people like it or not, I played a ton of sack. So
hmm,
sense alter
yep,
and I an outrageous amount. Nobody had ever seen it like that. And I did that for light and dark. Obi-Wan's hut, Obi's saber, Cantina shuffle, sack. You can't stop it. Dark side, I thought I was a genius. Put Vader in space on Star Destroyers and run sack. If I just put them on the ground and do what I do now, it would have been a much different situation. It was just too slow for some of the decks, and my light went undefeated, and my dark lost a couple games, and I finished fifth overall. I mean, I made it to the each day. I made it to the final day. Each worlds, I always made it to the final 12, but that one I finished fifth, and it was really because my dark wasn't that good compared to Raphael's and somebody else who figured it out before me.
okay. Yeah, there's like an old magazine clipping. It had players like 1 through 4 there. So yeah, I was wondering where you are. So fifth, okay, that
Yeah, I
makes
was
sense to me.
fifth. Yeah, and so yeah, and so there.
Nice.
Not
World,
lying.
sorry.
Can you
Oh,
see?
fifth place. Whoa,
Fifth
1996.
place. There
Nice.
you go.
Nice.
1996. There.
Wow.
That's how I have to remember all this stuff. So I pulled it there. It was actually in the tub. I pulled them out, wrapped in
No,
newspaper.
thank you. Thank you so much.
And I
So,
didn't
so,
know because I told you a lie. I said in 1999 I finished seventh. I finished 11th.
oh, okay.
So
All right.
yeah.
Um, so I mean, any memories? So obviously, your dark needed some work. Do you remember like about the event? Do you remember the players? Did you get to watch kind of the finals, like kind of like a closed circuit television?
Yeah, they put it on a screen. It was great. It was a weird thing because I didn't know. I thought I was going to go to Worlds, get not get disqualified in day one. I had a friend that was in Vail, and my wife and I were going to go skiing because they paid for you everything. They flew you out. They did everything. It was really nice what Decipher did, and and then I just kept winning. Well, my wife ended up going snowmobiling or something with my friend, and I was stuck there, which I wanted to be. I mean, I was happy I was doing well, and then we watched it. But we were in Vail, and I don't think I ever left wherever we were at. I can't remember if it was a hotel or what it was, but we never left. I never left the place, so I never got to see Vail until later. And go, I went and skied it a couple of years ago, but I thought I was going to go skiing. I brought all my ski equipment or some. I think it was ski equipment. Or I was going to do something,
Okay.
but ended up playing.
Nice. Okay. So, all right. So the tournament ends, and some of these tournaments they like preview future products. Did that happen with the 1996? Like, did you get to know about Hoth or all, or not really, or what?
I don't know.
Okay.
I know that I think they did preview Hoth because for some reason we were in Vail for like a Hoth like theme, but I don't remember.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you. What I do remember is I played in the regionals. I didn't qualify in the regionals. There was a hiccup with a misplayed card. It irked me. I turned to my wife. I said, can I fly to Seattle? I know I can win this. She said, yeah, let's go. So we flew to Seattle. I won their regional. At the time, you could play there was no such thing as an open. So you could play. So I won theirs. That's how I got my trip. After that, that's the only part. And then I remember Raphael won, and he's a great guy. I'm still friends with him on Facebook. And
Nice.
so,
Okay.
but yeah.
All right. Cool. And so, how does it work? So obviously, 1996 Worlds ends. New year, 1997 comes. Like, how much distance is between you doing these like regional qualifiers and the world is? Like, how did it happen for the 1997 kind of Worlds qualifying and things like that?
I I would have to look at these plaques, but I don't know. I want to say um the 97 one was at San Diego Comic Con in an open that
Okay.
I had won. But I'm not sure. It was one of those that I won at Comic Con. And the bizarre thing is, I don't know if you've ever been to San Diego Comic Con. I go every year now. But at the time, I had never been to a Comic Con. I didn't know what San Diego Comic Con was. And we went down on the last day to the floor and saw all the craziness. We never even went in. We were in the upstairs away from everybody doing this huge tournament. I had no idea what was going on at Comic Con, and at the time it was more comics. Now it's more of premieres and it's comics and toys, and it's a whole bunch of things now.
Yeah.
But that was the start where they were bringing in other things like card games. So I remember going there, and I won that, and we went downstairs kind of I think to get a drink, from one of the vendors, the sodas, and I was like, wow, this place is incredible. I didn't know there were so many people here. And then and so then I said, I'm going to go here every year, and I started going there every year. So
Nice. Nice. So you keep playing, new cards get added, and I think 97, I think what second place like Dagobah Miners Guild. So I think this was like Premier to Cloud City or something like that. Um,
could be, yeah.
yeah. And you remember what you played in 1997? Any
Yeah,
recollections?
that was my best showing. That was
Okay.
my best showing. And they we were playing. I played Beggar and Sack with Obi-Wan and Revolution. And if Draw Their Fire was available, I know that was in there. If it wasn't available, I
No,
don't
that
know.
was special
But I know
edition.
it. Okay, so I had Beggar and Revolution and Sack,
Yeah.
and it was a great deck. I don't remember my dark deck, but that deck was so. I mean, I somehow came up, because I don't know. I don't go on the computer, so I don't know what other people are doing. So whether I came up with it or not, that's neither here nor there. I found that for me, and it was very hard for people to beat. So, and if all had went well, probably would never have played past 97 because I just remember to this day, Joe Aldred was playing a game, and I come over to watch because all he had to do was finish out the game, and I'm in the final duel. And he realized he wasn't going to win the game, not knowing that it affected me, and picked up instead of played the game out. He didn't concede, he picked up, he did it legit. But by doing that, that guy got more differential. If he just continued playing it out and slowly force drain, he was still going to lose that game. but it would have put me in the final two.
Okay.
And that light deck wasn't going to lose. The dark deck, I don't know. The light deck.
Okay.
So,
And so that's the origin of your comment on
so
Gamble
I
while
finished
ago.
third. I finished third.
Okay.
And then I had a kid, and I was like, that left enough to where I was a little frustrated. I was like, I wish they had set rules that you play a game out all the way to the end, type of thing. And 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 it really wasn't his fault. I mean, I would have probably done the same thing, not knowing, because you don't know what other people are doing. You just see that the game is over. I'll just pick up.
Yeah.
But by doing that, it can change. If you don't finish each turn and hit somebody for a little bit of force, it can make the difference. And I think it was 3 cards or 2 cards I missed it by. I mean, it was that little.
I believe
So
you.
just to plan out the turn. So, anyways, I was like, I'm having a kid, and I'm done. I can't be running around playing the game, and I think I missed a good year to be done. I think it was the ops year.
It, it,
I
it,
heard it was a cluster.
it was, yeah, it was the year that they had the operatives here. Yes, and that was a controversial thing. Some people complained about that. How it was done,
Yeah.
right? You know, and I guess wasn't play
Hmm.
tested enough. I have not
It
interviewed
wasn't.
anyone. I've not interviewed anyone who like was in the know that operators are super powerful. Like Johnny Chu told me that, you know, like they tested like 5 operatives
I didn't know.
instead of 20 operatives. You know, I don't know. Did you get a pack of special edition or no
I
because you were
I
playing it?
I somehow I knew I was privy to someone told me something about all the cards, and so I immediately figured out hidden base. That was so broken. It was I mean, it didn't take a genius to figure that one out. I mean, that was broken. 2 cards, any 2 cards, and you can flip any 2 systems, and you flip. You don't have to get 5 battleground systems. Just deploy 2 systems and flip, and you now force choke your person, which went perfectly with the type of style I like to play with the Revolution Beggar. So it was like, oh, this is brutal. So I Ops wasn't going to beat my light side deck. Now my dark side deck wouldn't stand a chance against a hidden base or an Ops deck. So I don't know how I would have done because I didn't never figured out Ops. I didn't realize it was that broken until I saw what happened. So
I got you. No, yeah. Apparently, like in the night, players were like asking, like to trying to trade operatives. You know, in some areas, but some other players just asleep.
yeah,
You
that's
know.
kind of funny.
You know.
I could see it happening, the scramble going on, because when I got there, I watched these guys scramble left and right. Do you have this card? Do you have that card? And they're trying to, they're playing in the hallways and everything. It's kind of a fun atmosphere. You know, it's just cards everywhere.
Now,
So.
did you attend the Worlds even though you weren't playing, or you're just
Oh no, I thought I was done.
yeah,
After I took third, and I'm like biting my lip, going, I could, and I think I'm not sure if that was the year they had Jeremy Bullock there and all the, because they had me. I got to eat dinner. He sat with me at the table and stuff, and he's the guy who plays Boba Fett, if you don't know.
I do
And
know.
so
Yeah,
because I'm a little bit older, yeah, I was a little bit older. I think they put him at my table with me just because I wasn't gonna like totally freak out when he was sitting next to me. And so I just remember he said, "Oh, you're a teacher." I said, "Yeah, I'm a teacher. I'm a young teacher." And so we talked. And I purposely told myself I'm not going to ask him any Star Wars questions. So, but I think that was the Worlds that it was there. It was a really good setup, and I thought I got everything I needed out of it. And then that FOMO kicked in when I heard about, you know and I got to give it another try and see if I can win this thing. I did everything else but win Worlds. I could not do that. So, and I never did. So,
okay. Well, um, I guess let's go to 1999. Okay, so 98 Worlds you skipped, and so you got the FOMO, right? And so in 99, I think was Premier Indoor, right? Is what it ended up being, right? So
yeah, I guess I don't remember it that well. I finished 11th. I thought I finished 7th. I think I told you 7th, but I
yeah,
finished 11th when I looked at the plaque. And
yeah.
so it's it was fun. I just remember it being a lot of fun seeing people. I had not seen. Was 99 DecipherCon?
2000 was the
Let me see.
CypherCon. I don't know what
Let me
99
see.
was. Yeah.
Yeah, 99 was DecipherCon.
Okay.
Because yeah, well, here I'll show you a fun one.
Sure.
You
Yeah. Yeah.
probably
That'd be
haven't seen
awesome.
this type of trophy. This thing. So
Oh,
can you see
nice.
it?
I see DecipherCon champion. Oh, 1999. Yep. Decipher champion. It says your
Yeah.
name. Was it say, or just it's a generic plaque? Okay.
No, no. I'm the champion for 99 of world of the team.
Nice.
They did a team championship, so I was the only American on it. And I think it was Martin Logan. It might have been Bastion and somebody else. I can't remember who was on the team, but it was we won it as a team event. So
Okay. And how does the team event work? Because no one's ever told me. Like, what's the difference between like a solo versus team?
I think the way they ran it is we had cumulative points as our win records and our differential as a team. That's how I think it was done. We had individual games, but we didn't play each other because we played other teams.
Okay.
That's how I remember it, because I remember I had to win my game for us to win it, because I mean, everyone's pretty good. So,
Okay.
and so it came down to like the difference came down to that last game. And so my game was taking a little longer.
Okay. And the team game is the same game you played in the main event of the Worlds, or what?
I believe so. I can't remember. I'm sorry. This is
It's okay.
bad. I'm not giving you a lot of,
No, it's
but I
okay.
know it might have been 40 cards. I don't know if they lowered it, but they made a team event and we all teamed up. Other people picked their team players, and I'm like, I like the European players are just kind of matter of fact. This is a rule. This is this, and I just enjoyed playing. I always Martin Logue was one of my favorite guys that I don't know whatever happened to him, but Bastion, just a great guy. He just that this is it. Okay, there's never any hard feelings about anything. So just fun.
That's good. And do you remember and you were a team of three people, a team of four people, or
Four. I
four?
know it was four because I think our team name was something like three Europeans and an American or something, and I was the American.
Okay. And you formed your team like on the spot, like you came to World and then you decided to form a team like there, or
I think they said they were going to do a team event, and we all got together, and some people picked their friends. I mean, there's little groups, and I didn't know this, but people had their little groups, and when you hear little stories about things, because when you told me you wanted to do this interview, I couldn't remember all these things, and
yeah,
I'm looking up trying to figure out what happened in um who did what, who were the people that did what in 2000, because that was what you
yeah,
said you were going to ask. So I
yeah,
went on and I listened to a podcast with, okay, there's Brian Hunter, Hayes Hunter, Clint Hayes.
yeah.
Yeah, Clint Hayes was the guy I listened to. I mix all three of those guys up there. That
Sure.
I'm trying to make sure I don't say.
It's
So all right,
understandable.
so
Yeah.
they all have a Hunter or Hayes in their name, so I don't know.
Okay. And so team of four, and you played each member of the opposing team, so you would face four people in their decks, or you have three. Like how did that
Oh
work?
no, there was multiple teams.
Okay.
It's just the team with the highest win ratio, because you got a certain amount of points for a win, a certain amount of point for a loss,
Okay.
and then your differential. You add up all your team's points and differential, and then you do the next round, do the other side, and play. You got paired up and you play somebody, and then the team. I think it was maybe 4 games each, and the team that had the most amount of points and differential won.
Okay.
So
All right.
I know
Yeah.
that between first and second was pretty close.
And
So
so it seems like kind of the more modern way, like with Andy's tournament, right? You're playing two games of person. It's a bracketed tournament, so it's this kind of this way we're doing it nowadays. You kind of avoid the issue that you had, whereas like if the third party gives up too quickly, that could mean that your differential kind of comparison, like you're doing like the Swiss method, right?
yeah,
Whereas we're not doing so much
yeah.
Swiss method nowadays.
No, it's a great setup what Andy did. I think it's neat, and Andy's putting a lot of time into it. You put a lot of time in this. It's fun. So
It is fun.
and it helps people out. You know, I'm more. I'll help people out, but don't tell everybody when I'm helping you out, as you know. I'll help you. I didn't want I if you look, my decks are never on deck tech. I never wanted anyone to see it, anything. I didn't need the kudos or people. I never would send it in. It was I just did it and it was over. You know. And then I could use him again and not be hard countered the next game.
I understand. It makes sense from a meta perspective. I understand. I
But
get it.
now I understand. Yeah, it's a dying game, so you have to, in order people to get back into it, you got to give them their interest. So I understand. It's and that's
Yeah, and I think it helps it grow. And I think, it's interesting
yes.
because, like I watched a game with Matt Sokol, like Dalatar, and he fought like Benji Chu, right? And
Hmm.
he lost because even though he's world champion in 2000, he wasn't familiar with the meta of today. And so he doesn't know when you see in
Oh, it
PDS2.
changes.
Yeah, I mean, if you see there is good in him, and like your red flag should be going off. Is this going to be a speeder deck? Or are they just going to try to blow me out with battle damage, right? And so he wasn't. It wasn't his head that, oh my gosh, I don't need to spread across routes here. I need to consolidate in one side. I need to be aware of, like, they're trying to blow me out, that kind of thing. So
Oh, is that what happened? I don't know what happened.
no, that's what happened. I watched the game. No, like he tried to put,
Oh,
like, on his ATST, he put like a couple of like barrack, a couple of his his troopers, right? And he tried to make it so that he could move his troopers from site to site. But when you're a snow speeder, you don't pay attention to Imperial Barrier, and just like COTVG's deck in 2021, right? It's just about having a deck full of Rebel snow speeders and deploying them all at once and try to get you for 50 million battle damage.
I think I saw a deck like that. Yeah, I didn't know that's what happened.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
hope I don't run into decks like that. So,
Well, I mean, you're pretty
if
wise.
I
I
hope
think.
I don't make a mistake.
Well, yeah. You're pretty in tune. I think Andy called you a winning machine, right? You're very in tune to the tricks. You know what most people are going to play, so it's hard to trick you. It's not impossible, but
Well, it's no, but what you got what you do is what I do is what I think everybody should do. And I kind of said that to you. You should build your own deck, get the ideas, build your own deck. When you build it, think about every deck that you could possibly play and what's your way of winning that game. So when you put those cards in there, you know what, like when you said, "Oh, um, what's the deck with the speeder? What's the
there's good in him. Like the modern, there's good
there's
in him.
good in him."
Yeah,
When I see that picture of that card, I go, "Oh, this is what I need to do to beat this deck." Now, does that always happen? No, because somebody throws a trick in I wasn't expecting, or I don't know. But that's the kind of the strategy to it. Is so you go, oh, okay, because you don't want to just build a deck that can only beat one type of deck, and then you have no chance. You know, no ships in a dark deck, and you're playing hidden base, and you can never pop the objective. That's just silly. So
yeah.
you got to get your ships. That type of thing.
Agreed.
So
Agreed on that point. Okay, so 1999 Worlds, you got 11th place. You got to see some of the friends. Any other memories from that, or after Worlds, something
no,
else on that?
I remember that was a great one. I had a lot of fun. There was no drama. I didn't play that well, but I got 11th. But I mean, I did get to play every single day, and then I just didn't make the final duel. So, because I don't know if you know how it goes, you get there's 3 days of playing, and to make it to the final 12 is very hard when everyone's good in the 30 something. But the first day is a huge number usually, and if some people you can get a buy to get past that, and then like I know I had a buy on where I didn't have to play on the first day. I just played on the second day and the third day. So if you win a regional or an open, and then I think there's an open qualifier there on the
Right,
first day.
right.
So I think that's how it went. So
Okay.
I always went to second day because I had won something to be there. So
And when you're going to Worlds 99, so you're a father, right? Is your child coming with you? Is your wife coming with you, or kind of going on
oh
your
no, no,
own?
no, that time I did that time I went on my own. The
Okay.
last two I went on my own.
Okay.
Because he's now going to be two, and then So it was like a perfect, the world, it all aligned where he's now two. He needs me around more. And so that's after 2000, I was done.
Okay.
Decipher was losing their license, everything. So it was a perfect storm.
Okay. All right. All right, let's talk about 2000. So you qualify again. So you keep on winning these regionals, right? You got the bye for 2000 as well, kind of the day one
I
qualifier, right?
believe so.
Yeah.
Is that what I did? Yeah, I believe so.
I'm guessing. I don't know. I only have the day two and the day three results. I don't have the day one anything.
Okay,
There's a
so I
ton of
played.
people
I know I played in day two for sure, and I made day three. That I know.
for sure. Yeah. Any memories about the tournament? I mean, people said like the software was not working properly, you know.
I know it took forever. I saw in an interview from one of the Hayes Hunter,
Yeah.
that I guess I left him with a very bitter memory, and I am sorry that I hurt that kid's feelings, and I don't know. I don't remember it until he said it, but I don't know about this gravity shadow he's talking about, but
Okay.
you know, I don't know. I don't even think the game was close from what I remember, but I know he made a mistake, and I do remember somebody, I didn't know it was him, asking the judges to allow his mistake to be overturned. And I'm sorry, it's Worlds. I do feel bad when it's a kid. I mean, I'm a teacher. I give things away to kids. But I'm not going to give you a free win because you make a mistake in Worlds. That's just not the way it goes. And it was as simple as, I think it was. He said it was my Zuckus, and he had two characters piloting the Falcon. Then he adds Leia and never switches them, and wants to have Destiny. Well, that's the trick of Zuckus. It's like deploying a Skywalker Leia, and you can't battle, and realizing that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean that's part of the game,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I'm sure I was a hardliner to him and said no, and I feel bad. I don't know how old he was. How old was he in that thing? I hope he was like close to an adult age, and I didn't just a 10-year-old.
I mean, he was probably 16 through 18 or 20 at most. Yeah, somewhere around there.
Oh, okay. Well, then he's a big boy. He should be able to handle it. So, okay. I thought he was a little kid. I felt bad though.
I don't know. I mean, that's what
I
I
don't
think
want
of.
you to hold on to something for 25 years, you know.
Well, maybe there's opportunities to ever, but hopefully
Yeah.
he hears what you're saying. So hopefully that goes
Oh,
well.
well, I apologize if I hurt anyone's feelings, to anyone I've ever hurt their feelings. How's that? And I'll just move it on.
Okay, that
It's just a game.
yeah, that's fair.
So,
So since we're talking about 2000s, I do actually have the 2000 deck, so maybe we can talk a little bit about
okay.
kind of then versus
Sure.
now. Yeah. So let me share my screen here, and then we'll kind
You
of
got
get
it.
going here. Let's do the entire thing. Okay. All right, let's move this and let's talk about this one. Okay.
Others
So,
may see your video. Let me see. It's telling me something. Okay, there we go.
see it now? Okay, good. All
I
right.
can see everything.
Okay, good. So, your dark side, you played a version of Brangus in 2000. I did not realize this. So, tell me about your choice, way back then. This is before we had Bastion's, kind of version.
Yeah, I think the reason I did it is the meta out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, in this in this game, for example, Beggar draw their fire, right?
Yeah.
You have a Gook, you can't play it, you're screwed. So I know that my logic was this was an engine to get cards out there. And if I have them on the ground and you try to hurt me, I take no damage. And then I can concentrate in space.
Yeah.
That was kind of my logic behind that. It wasn't obviously the best deck, but you know, deck picking your decks is the key to everything. You know,
Well, I
you
mean,
know, I
yeah. No, I mean, and I think that's still true today. I mean, set your course. I mean, you're immune to revolution, right? That's one
mhm.
less thing that can kind of mess you up, hurt you, right? Force choke you. It's harder to force choke you with this kind of deck. And
Right, but look at me as a player.
yeah,
What do I like to do? So who did I protect myself from? Me. That's what everyone does,
Yeah.
right? They protect themselves from, you know, they put counters into the things they're going to do in their deck. You'd think they would, at least, so it doesn't happen to them.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. The cheesers are aware of cheese, right? The people who
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. So you can say it however you want, cheese or, I mean, it's part of the game.
it, it,
I
it
never
is
whine
it,
when
it is a part
I
of the game.
never cry when it happens to me. So when people cry, I'll give them a tissue and they can go on. I mean, it's just a game. I mean, come on. If you want to play, now if you said, "Hey, let's play a fun game that battles," obviously I wouldn't run an anger, fear, aggression game. That a runaway order to engage deck. That's
Yeah.
just you don't. That's not interactive. I understand that,
Yeah.
but there's a difference between tournaments and interactive.
Yes,
So
there is. And in tournaments, you want to win, you want to be unfair, you want to deplete their force any way possible. And yes, and I know that sometimes you play like games versus Dark Deal 44, and you like to use your kind of hunt down dueling deck many times, and because he's playing Prophet, and that's a more interactive game. It's a more
it's more
chess like.
fun,
Yeah,
and he's a good guy. I
yeah,
love I love Kevin.
yeah.
So
So, but I
he's
mean,
fun. He's one of the guys that likes to play. So
no, he does. And he said, one of
yeah.
the reasons he still plays Star Wars CCG is because he likes Prophet. It's his favorite deck. And kudos to him for, really
I'll
cracking
tell
that
you
deck.
something about him is he comes up with card combinations that other people don't think of. I've stolen some of those card combinations from him, and I'm not going to say them out loud to throw away what he's done, but he comes up with some really cool ideas. He's a really, he only likes certain type of formats, but he's a really smart player.
No, I agree. He's done some stuff with Rescue the Princess that I think is, cool. It's not a top tier objective, but he's managed to surprise at least from that
Yeah,
one. Yeah, for
uh,
sure.
and he's a good guy, so he's fun to play with.
Agreed. Agreed 100%. But no, I was going to say if I compare this deck, if I were going to compare kind of this 2000 deck you had, maybe I'll grab like Bastion's deck here just to compare because there are a lot of similarities, even between this 21-year lifespan. If I do Bastion 2021, yeah, this one is Winkle. That's what I did. Winkle House. Yeah, this one here. So if I compare, kind of contrast here. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
guess the difference is, he has seen our fleet systems a little bit more, whereas you were kind of more like Star Destroyers here, and he was kind of taking advantage more of kind of the retrieval here. But I mean, still like counter assault.
Similar.
You both have
It's
counter
same
assaults.
idea.
Yeah, you
Does
know.
he have a counter slot? Good for Bastion.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he did.
Good
Yeah,
for
he had a
Bash.
counter assault here.
Yeah,
Yep, absolutely. So,
yeah.
two all sections. But yeah, I mean, obviously had more years to refine,
But
vice
you got to
versa.
remember that Bastion didn't design the name of that objective. I didn't design the name of the objective. Obviously, we're all going to find it's a limited amount of cards to pull it from. So whoever did it first really was probably the guy who designed that objective. And then the first one to play it in a tournament, if that's the case, I didn't know that. I really didn't know that. But I know Bastion likes it and he's really good at it.
He is really good at it, and no, and he had a deck tech article, and actually, if you go to the sample decks, right, the sample decks, you have like an
Uh-huh.
old version of Bastion's deck on here. Yeah, you have that kind of old version here, and the old version was yeah, it was more ground based at a cantina, so it's definitely a refinement because he originally when he made this, he wanted to like not use the Emperor, not
From
use
what
the
year is
expensive card.
this? What year is this from?
This is 2000. This is 2000. This is still
Oh, so he
PDS2.
and I both played the same type of thing back in
Yeah.
2000.
Well,
Oh,
possibly, yeah,
good.
because I mean this is what his deck tech was. So I don't know what decks
Yeah.
he played in 2000, but this is the same deck tech that you can find an archive for, basically. Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And he's a nicer guy because he gives out his decks. I would never do that.
Yeah.
That's why you never see my decks out there.
All right.
I give them to you people who ask me personally, but
I got you.
I just yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so
Very
that
cool.
was
That's
that
fun to
deck.
see.
Yeah. And I guess I don't I guess to say any other thoughts on your dark side deck that you ran in 2000? Obviously you didn't win the
I
tournament.
wish I could tweak it a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I don't think I needed 3 Imperial barriers. That's a little much. Is
Well,
that mine? The one with three
no,
Imperial
no, no, no.
barriers?
That was one
Or is
clause.
that his?
Yeah, yours is this one. You know, you had two Imperial Bears.
Oh, two. Okay.
I thought it was interesting because this is the era where frozen assets was a thing. So you had Imperial Bearer. I guess you really didn't want to be battled. I guess that's what it is. And even if they had frozen assets, because you didn't have like a main course here. Like a main course would have canceled it. I'm just kind of curious, though, honestly, like even two Imperial Bears, because we had cards like frozen assets. I don't understand.
Yeah. No, I don't know what whatever my thought process at the time was, I thought it was going to be good enough to win.
Okay.
That, and so it was good enough to get me to day 3, and obviously it didn't win.
Okay.
So, but
All right.
uh, yeah,
So this was the light side deck you used 25 years
I'm
ago
trying.
in the Worlds. It's interesting because, you
Some
know,
people don't change very much, do
I mean, you still love traffic control.
they?
You still love that card,
I love
right?
traffic control, hidden base.
Yeah.
I love all those cards.
A lot of them. I mean, I
They're
don't
all
see
fun
you
cards.
playing much of like Nia Num and Lando combo much anymore. Um, you might have like one intruder
Yeah.
missile. You don't usually have two, so maybe you've gotten better at tracking or whatever. What would you say?
No, I was better back then tracking. I could track your deck and mine.
Wow. How many
It,
how,
it was
how many
it
cards are you
was
tracking or what? Like one card each
I
or
was
two cards?
tracking every destiny for both. I now, you know, I don't have the patience to just getting older and stuff, but half the time I'm watching television when I'm playing fun games. I don't do that during a tournament game, but so tracking is extremely hard and GEMP makes you lazy. It really is. It's very hard to know to track destinies. And GEMP, you could take, if you wanted to, take notes of where your cards are.
Yeah,
You're going to just count, oh, there's 16. You see the number of cards. You would have to physically grab your piles and count the cards each time.
yeah.
So it's a much more numbers are floating through your head at that time.
True,
So,
true.
but it was a harder era.
Agreed. So thoughts. Thoughts on this deck. I mean, obviously there's some similarities in cards here. I mean, you are famous for your Lost in the Wilderness. Counter, surprise assault. Yeah, you have that here. Intruder missile for tracking. I see that here. Um,
Well, you see what I like. I like the mains, and that's why I don't play open. I like the mains. I like the pictures. I like the characters. It brings back smiles and memories. That oh, it says my max is going to go to sleep. Can you pause this? And I'm going to
yep,
get a
yep,
charger.
yep. I'll pause.
All right.
One. Okay. Yeah, and so I guess what I'm interested in obviously is kind of your growth as a player. So obviously, it's 25 years later. You're still playing PDS2. And so I mean, would you run a deck like this again, or would you say, well, there's too many
Absolutely.
ships here?
No, it's maybe I'd knock. The thing right now is the very hard deck to beat is ROPS. So
Sure.
you gotta make sure you have a fast deck that can stop, at least give you a chance against ROPS. If you make a mistake, ROPS should win the game. It's a pretty good deck.
It's
Brad Kipple's deck is really good. It's
yeah,
a
no,
hard deck to beat.
it's a very hard deck. It's a I mean, Dark Deal said it's a borderline broken, right? It's close to being broken. Just when you flip, it's
Yeah, I
very
would agree that it's not broken, but it's very, you really have to think about that when you build a deck, and if you don't, then don't expect to win.
got it. And I guess
Because
maybe what you would say is maybe this deck doesn't have perhaps enough anti-ROPS tech, is what you would say.
I would say if I play this deck right, it gives me a chance against Rops. If I play it wrong, I could do some things to make it a little faster. But I don't need Liberty in there. I think that's Liberty, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, good memory. Yeah.
Liberty. Yeah, I don't think I would need Liberty in there, and I could maybe do a faster ship that can get out there a little quicker and get there. And then the key is what to make it hard for them to flip. And if they flip, there's going to be a counter beat, and they got to be able to withstand it. So, but Rops has a really good chance of being able to pull out cards they want with 2 4s. So,
Yeah.
I would say you flip a coin with this deck. It's not, but it makes for a fun game.
Okay.
When I'm talking, if I played like Brad Kipple with this deck, I'd flip a coin who wins that game.
Yeah. I mean, no, I mean, I agree. This deck, obviously, I mean, Brad Kibble, his version, he was inspired by Kevin Shannon's version. He did a couple of changes, a few tweaks. He took out, he had, Kevin had like 3,720 to 1. Okay, he took that out. A couple of minor changes
How
here
do
and
you
there,
have
but
Brad? How do you have Brad Kipple's version?
because
He
because
gave it
everyone
gave it to you.
no, because they released all the decks, right? All the decks they release, right? They put them in a zip
Oh, I
file.
can't see any of these decks. I don't have my password to see any of them, so I can't see any of the decks. I don't know what anybody's playing unless I play them.
Well, I mean, after the event was released, you can they release all the decks, right?
Where?
On the forums or on the Star Wars
Yeah, see, I
players.
don't have my forum password. Yeah, so
Oh,
it's all right. I'm sure then mine
okay.
are out there too.
Well, okay.
Because
Well, just FYI on my Google Drive, I put all the links. So if you go there, you can download
all
all the
right,
past decks. Yeah,
well, that was cool. All right.
yeah, absolutely. But no, I
Well,
saw.
I did know that that was happening though a lot because I can tell you this. Eddie N Rabbit,
Yeah.
we were playing the I was playing. I think it was Hoth, not last year, but the year before.
Hmm.
And I started off I think 0-2, and I went undefeated the year before. And I said, it's like they know my cards. And he goes, they do. Your decks are up there. They posted. And so I was like, oh, that that was an eye opener. In that
We
retro, the second year of retro.
Yeah, no, no. I mean, Dr. Torch, you're a good player, and I say that not in a bad way. I mean, it's just that it's a challenge, right? And so beating Dr. Torch is kind of a notch in your belt. I mean, I beat you twice, and I was lucky to do those. I'll just be honest with you, right? You kick the tar to me most times, in all honesty.
No,
So
I mean you worked at it. That's why I lost. I mean, it's as simple as that.
you know,
It's really as and I hope you see that I'm the same when I win and when I lose. I can't stand it when people whine when they lose because it's part of the game, you know.
it's part of the game, and I will say this game has a steep learning curve because there's lots of decks that you think
It
you're
does.
good, right? There's lots of decks you think you're good, and then you play a very skilled player like yourself or someone else, and realize, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like, there's various ways to learning. Like, at some point realize, just randomly putting characters to sites is not a good idea, or randomly because when you do that, then people can wait and stack the cards. And that's something you told me that another time too, is like, don't deploy, don't fight until you're ready, right? It's one thing you told me. So,
You know who told me that, right?
um,
Sun Tzu,
Sun Tzu. Okay, I like
the
that.
art of war.
That makes
The
sense.
art of war. I didn't come up. I just follow it.
Nice. So, and I guess maybe we can talk a little bit about philosophy here, right? So, if you look at like a
Sure.
deck like Brad Kipple's deck, or you look like Kevin Shannon's deck, right?
Hmm.
There's not a reactor terminal here, right? There's not a reactor terminal. In this version here, sorry, that's the open version. Not this card. There's not even in this one. There's not even a masterful move, right? There's not even a masterful move. This deck is literally
Hmm.
just about I want to flip, and then as long as I occupy enough sites, I don't care what my destiny numbers are that much, right? Okay, I care a little bit. I want to trample people, fine. Um,
No, he wants you to fight him. That's what this deck is. He wants you to come down and fight and lose. That's what he's going to do to you. You're going to come to, because you're never going to be able to put enough guys down because of the deploy cost, and that's why he has bad feeling have I. He's forcing you to come out and battle on his terms. That's the whole idea behind this ROP stack.
no, I agree. No, from the efficiency point, he has low cost guys for the most part, right? Low cost guys,
Mm-hmm.
guys that avoid Gunite, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of one of the strategic choices here. But philosophy wise, I mean, I guess I see a couple of things from you like in the past. So if we go like to kind of like like a lot of your decks, like you're tracking your numbers, right? You're designing your deck so you have high destinies, so that whenever you want
Mm-hmm.
to kind of win a war with kind of like Talon roll, like you can do it. Like this deck is designed to kind of win easier. Like you can track with your dark maneuvers. Versus you have some decks like Brad Kipple's decks is like I just want a lot of bodies, right? A lot of bodies, and eventually I'm going to win the war of attrition because I can forfeit my guys and maybe you can't. Maybe you can kind of speak to kind of that to some degree.
Well, it's just a play style, it's one of those things that you know his deck, it doesn't need to worry about destinies because he gets every destiny is it's always at least a 4, or 3, I guess.
Yeah.
If he's only occupying 3 sites, it's at least a 3. So that's pretty nice to have nothing less than a 3. So you're excuse me, ones, twos, and threes are now threes, fours, and fives. So, or sixes.
Yeah.
And it's a whole different deck. So he doesn't need to have those higher destinies. Mine does, because I can't survive if every time I drew a 1. So I have to be able to track those destinies and use them. So put in a Abyss Shuffle and screw me up.
Very, very few people put those in their decks that I see. And maybe I'm
They
not
do.
okay. Maybe I'm not seeing enough high level gameplay.
SWC player loves to do that to me. He's a good player. That SWC player, he
SWC
he
player is a
he
good
does.
player. Yes. I just
Yeah,
haven't seen
and
anyone, well, not no one in the 2024, right, retro OCS have I seen it. Now, okay, I saw one person use a Bith Shuffle, I think maybe it was today in one of these, Annie's tournament matches, but no one in the 2024 deck list used Bith Shuffle. Um,
oh really?
no, no
It's
one
a
used
good
Bith.
card. It messes up Sabic. It messes up a lot of things.
Okay, so
There's a note to. I mean,
yeah, okay.
but see, that's why Ops is so good. I've been playing Ops lately. It's you don't
I've been
need
seeing, I've been
to.
shocked and like, oh my gosh, DRTORCH is playing ROPS. He's changing his style. Is this just testing it, or are you like, oh my gosh, it's time for me not to do, my standard,
I can't play
bring.
the same deck as last year. If I play the same deck as last year, everyone, like I told you, I started off retro 2023 with a losing record. And I'm like, I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then Eddie's the one who said, your deck's out there, so you have to change it up. And they're fun. It's a fun game, so it's fun to play different things. I don't have to play the same thing.
That's
It's
true.
fun.
That's true. You don't. Okay, so okay,
So
then why no Bith Shuffle in this deck? You didn't play Bith Shuffle 2024. Just no room or what?
probably no room. But it would be a good this I will tell you, of all my decks I play, this is the hardest deck to play.
You have hardly any
This one,
mains. You have hardly any mains here. I mean, I mean,
it,
you did well considering.
I lost to Brad Kipple on a mistake, if you saw it.
Yes.
And it was, I forgot to save 1 force for that laser cannon. And if I did that,
Yeah.
I win the game. Now I had to gamble and play risky with the dark deck because it didn't matter at that point. I already lost the first game. I had to win by more than what I lost by.
Yeah.
So that that dark deck, I think, could have squeaked out a win, but squeaking out a win doesn't win the thing. So Brad Kipple beat me, and I made a mistake. And this is a deck I created, and I made the mistake. It's a very hard deck to play, you know, and it's not forgiving. And I have no excuse. I mean, I wasn't watching TV. I just made a mistake, and it was pointed out to me by some of the guys that like to say, "Why'd you do that?" And I made a mistake.
Okay.
Happens.
Okay. Um, so yeah, as far as piloting in this deck, I mean, like help some people understand because, um, all right, like you have the stone piles here. Um, I remember in the game, like you waited, you didn't want to kill a fader because you wanted to put on the uncontrollable fury to make him kind of lose the force here.
Is this
Um,
against Brad you're talking about?
correct. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
All right.
so. Um,
Okay.
I could be mixing up the years. Might be 2023. If I do, I
It might
apologize.
be. I don't. It doesn't matter. I'll just tell you my theory why I did something if you tell me the situation.
Yeah, so I guess when it comes to Stone Pilot, right? A lot of we don't always see this card, right? It's two extra cards in a kind of Mind We Have Learned deck. You used it this time. How are you deciding when to use a card like this?
Okay. So if this is a strategy game.
Okay,
So when you force strain somebody or you cause them to lose force loss with an anger, fear, aggression, right?
yeah,
What cards are you losing out of your hand? The cards you like or the cards you may not need?
the cards
The
I may
cards you
not
may
need.
not need.
Yes, yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
What do you keep in your hand?
The good cards, the cards I need the most.
The ones I'm going to stone pile.
Okay,
That's what I'm doing.
okay. So you are waiting to
That's the
use
only
Stone
reason
Pile. Okay.
I wait to use stone pile to when I think it can help me. Does it always help me? No. Sometimes I grab junk, but I mean, that's my reasoning for it. Whether it's right or wrong, that's my reasoning.
Okay. All right. Um, Okay, so anger, fear, aggression. A lot of a lot of my learned decks run this. I think a lot of people run 4 copies. Okay, you ran 3 this time. Um, Obviously we have cards like projected telepathy, right? We have cards that
Mm-hmm.
can just kind of
Mm-hmm.
cancel this.
Mm-hmm.
Are you
Mm-hmm.
waiting to deploy this until like you have a grabber so you can grab projected telepathy? Do you like use this as soon as you can, turn 1? How
Yeah,
do you?
I only am gonna play it when I think it can go off. And you can't the reason why I have three is my deck will not win on 4 anger, fear, aggressions. I have to do something to beat him
Yeah,
off his location.
yeah,
So that's why I don't do heavy of it. And I'll be honest with you, anger, fear, aggression is a cheap way of evening out some things. It doesn't take a lot of skill, doesn't take any skill. You just insert it in the deck and hope it comes up. And you hope they don't have projected telepathy.
right.
So, I mean, there's lots of players that like it. And I probably stole that idea because I did at first wasn't, it wasn't my style to AFA. I like to fight.
Yeah,
So, but again, there's times to fight and there's times not to fight. So, you don't want to fight when you're going to lose. You want to fight when you're going to win.
right. Um, and I thought this deck was interesting because I'm used to you doing things like like surprise assault, right? And this deck,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't have a surprise assault because I usually
Mm-hmm.
assume you have a 7 to kind of do something like that. This time you didn't. So why not a surprise assault? Because you have had rough versions of these Dega Bomb learn that where you do run surprise assault. Like you would run through test 2 in some versions. This one we did test 1. Why'd you change from like doing test 2 and back to test 1 only?
Did I thought I did test 2 on this.
Oh,
Didn't I?
I'm sorry. I'm wrong completely. Sorry. You do the test 2. Sorry. Okay. Just
Yeah.
in this version,
Because
you don't have surprise assault. That's the only difference. Sorry.
yeah, so the reason I don't do surprise assault is the simple fact that I like to do surprise assault is good enough that I do surprise assault. It stops somebody from spreading wide because if you don't, it's a card I like. If you're gonna spread wide on me, there's a good chance I'm gonna surprise assault you. So it did its job in that when you get down to the top 8, you can't have every card and you have to lock your deck. I wish I could have every card so I could stop everything, but you can't. You have to pick and choose your poison.
Right. Okay.
So that was just I was trying to do an educated guess on what poison I could get by with, and I was second in that. So it wasn't good enough. Bill made a better decision. Or who did I play?
Brad
Well, it
Kippel, right?
wasn't Bill.
Yeah, Brad Kippel. Yeah,
Brad.
yeah,
I'll
correct.
give you the win. You won. You made the better decision.
Okay. All right. So the base thought is that people know that Dr. Torch likes surprise assault. Therefore, they're already going to do the things that would make surprise assault less effective. Therefore, you're not going to run this card and you run something else. That was your thought process.
Well, my thought process is people are predictable,
Yes.
and people have patterns, and people do things, and so if they know I have a pattern, I took it out for that. I think the one I'm playing now, if I play this type of version, I think it's back in there in hopes that somebody's going to forget to do it. And then maybe after this, I might pull it back out and we'll do this Princess Bride thing. You know,
Yes.
is it the cup with the poison or the cup without the poison? And we can go back and forth. We just won't know. And a lot of it's on a whim. It's just on a feeling. I'll say, oh, because I mean, again, I could put everything in and not draw it at all. That's the whole funny luck of the draw type of thing.
This is
But
no, this is very true. You are correct. Um, so when it comes to, I guess, running things like this, um, you still
mhm.
have your standard commission. I don't. Am I wrong? Do you not typically use on the edge very much? And like, but this one
Well,
did.
sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Okay.
But I played a game the other day that on the edge, it was a great game, and we were coming down to the end. And as soon as I pulled out on the edge and got back 6-4, it was enough to make the difference to the point where I think it was actually a tournament game, and they went. It was in this Brad Kipple tournament, and they just quit. Said, "Okay, I can't win my next game by that much." And so, which I wouldn't have done. I would have played out the next game. You never know. I could have a complete, you know,
No,
bad play or bad luck. I would just play them.
I
You know.
agree. I agree. No, we've had some people this tournament get way too discouraged way too soon. I mean, I get losing
Yeah.
sucks. I get it. I've been there. But I agree. I think people need
Well,
to try to
I
stick it
mean,
through.
but you're never going to be great at anything if you give up the second it goes bad.
Agreed here. Um, okay. So 2 out of commissions, mostly just for tracking or because you really just love, sticking it to a Vader or Emperor. Um, you,
All of the above. You out of commission a hunt down deck, it's over. It's over. I mean, what are you going to do with Vader gone?
it's hard to come back
So
from. There's
it
no
is.
doubt there.
It's possible. It's happened. I mean, I I I never it's never over. I mean, people thought I should have probably given up when somebody circled my Obi-Wan, and I came back and won the game. And if you were to ask me at the moment my card was circled, am I going to win the game? I would say probably not. So to come back and win it was, but that's why you don't give up. And I only had two characters. I had what did I have? I'm sure you saw the game. The I had Luke and Boshek. That was it.
Okay.
So
I'll have to look
and
at
it
the
was
one
against
you.
Andy. It was Andy. We played Andy last round. He had a great game. We had a great game. It was really
Oh yeah, you're talking about Premier Cloud City Modified. I see what you're saying.
yeah. And
Yeah,
he
yeah.
circled my and I ran out of my sack and he circled Obi and my heart just went, oh no, I just lost the game. I really did. I went, oh no, I just lost the game. And I'm sure everyone who was watching it went, he just lost the game. But that's why you don't give up in that case. So if you watch that game, it just got lucky. I fought it out, and I was able to pull it out. So if somebody out of commissions your Vader, don't give up. But it's not going to look good.
I appreciate here. And so, and we have, I guess you were expecting a hunt down deck because you had two transmission terminated, you have two out of commissions. Only thing you don't have here is you don't have like disarmed, right? So some versions like you have like a hidden mains, deck with a disarmed. I guess it doesn't make sense to run that in a might have learned deck, I suppose. So you don't have it here.
No, but you could. And here's the thing: I guess I like SWC player hard countered this deck when he played me, and he had Doctor E's and you know he had IG88 and Forum and all the cards that can have disarm. Then he throws down Doctor E and just disarm, 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 and all my mains go away. So that's a great way to beat this deck. I mean, but you got to get them all down.
Sure.
So
Yeah. No, I agree with there. I mean, obviously, maybe you can speak a little bit more to like picking your poison, right? So obviously, you expected like a traditional hunt down. You did. We're not expecting a hunt down dueling. Else, you might have done like Courage of a Skywalker or something like that. Obviously, there's always some weakness here. Um,
yeah, it's not a perfect deck by any means, but you just have to pick your poison and try to battle when you think you can win it. And if you know they're dueling, you got to stay away from them and set up your destinies, which is one of the reasons I like traffic control and reactor terminal. Does that make sense?
no, it does. It does. It's just that with this type of deck, I'm wondering like you have Lost in the Wilderness. Okay, you want to roll high enough for Lost in the Wilderness. I get that. Um, if you get a bonus destiny from Han and Luke, I guess you want a high destiny or like how is traffic control helping you in this particular deck? Or I guess maybe for on the edge a little bit here, I'm guessing.
Well, if you draw up the cards, you have and you have doubles in your hand, you get monarch. That's one of the reasons you have to get them back down somehow.
Okay.
So, and you try not to have doubles in your hand, but you're going to do it. That monarch, can do that. Grimtash can do it. Setting up your destinies so Tarkin's out there and Tarkin cancels a destiny, and then the very next one hits Tarkin, because you swing two lightsabers, so you put 4/4, you know, and then draw a 6 or a 7. You've just cleared the site because they're going to cancel that, or and if they do cancel it, and I run a smoke screen, I don't know if that one had a smoke screen in it, but sometimes it does.
Yeah.
Then you cancel it, then I run the smoke screen, and I just cleared Vader and Tarkin. That's where out of commission comes.
No, correct. Yeah, and yeah, you
And
play
so,
like
and
a
you've
hit.
seen me play smoke screen.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen
So
you play smokescreen in your kind of your hidden mains deck. And no, it's effective. It makes sense. It's a great anti-hunt down thing because you're exactly correct. You can use a smokescreen against a Tarkin or whatever, and he can't cancel the
correct.
smokescreen. Yep, no, you're
Mhm.
absolutely correct on that point. Obviously, that's a different deck. Although I mean, you use some similar cards. Like it seems like this was like trying to be an anti-hunt down, anti-Rops because you have like two on Lost in the Wilderness is here, two projection of Skywalkers. Is what it seems like to be.
Well, I'm not ground heavy, right? So when I have projection and I'm not ground heavy, I got to slow as for I cancel your bonuses, and the most I usually lose is 1 force if I put that down on it, and it could be 0 force.
Yeah.
So it slows you down for me to set up. So if what I'm probably going to have to do by saying that now is definitely add a surprise assault, because anybody who tries to speed up, I'm going to zap them with the surprise assault now, because I said it's going to slow me down. So they'll speed up, and then surprise assault comes back out.
Sure.
I got it. I mean, that's what I just told my, when I said that, I just thought, hey, I need to add surprise assault back in. You're right.
Okay. All right. No, I mean it's opponent weapon.
Yeah.
You have two
Take
lost.
out uncontrollable fury.
Yeah.
There you
No,
go. I don't need,
it makes
because
people
everyone has a you are beaten.
yeah, a few bring up formulas run it, but not many, or a few decks run it, not many. It's not fun to run it. Everyone loves Choke Vader or Vader with Saber. It's hard to use,
No, everyone
Lord
likes
Vader.
Lord Vader now. The Lord Vader's the card everyone's running right now. So that is a dead card for most decks you're playing with good players. Not Brad Kipple, obviously's deck, but
Yeah.
most players.
Yeah. Well,
Again, he's a good player, but he's not doing that, which is why he's a good player. He's not following the norm.
well, I mean, Choke Vader is just so nice to get rid of a random Han or a
It
random
is.
Leia, or whatever,
It is, but look at his destinies.
Yeah. Well, his destinies are pretty
Got to
bad.
be
They live
lucky.
in the forest.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. In that deck, why not run Lord Vader? And then you never have to worry about that card.
Maybe so. So,
Yeah,
okay.
I like the swinging Vader, but
Yeah.
I don't know whose deck is that one with the Lord Vader.
Uh, no one. I don't have a deck of Lord Vader here. No, I don't have one.
Right? No, there was one with 3 Lord Vaders. I just saw it. You just had it up. You just did that
Okay,
one.
yeah,
Who
this
does
one,
that?
this is one what, yeah, Aslan did in 2000. So yeah, this was the other deck. This was not, this is not Yannick's deck, although this is not too different from Yannick's deck, right? Um,
Yeah,
so
and it makes sense. You see what because he's not going to get, and then he also has a You Are Beaten in there.
he does,
Yeah,
he does. Although
yeah.
I mean, okay, maybe if he was this fader, but you don't really need it for this fader, so but you know,
Well, in case he had to, because you can't put that Vader out, and so you can take it off, and then you can use it as a beatdown method.
okay,
So it has a lot of. That's a good deck right there.
okay. I
Uh,
guess I mean the only thing I would say is
I
there's
like
no
that deck.
sense in alter in this deck, right? There's no sense,
Okay.
alter. No, not in this one. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Still a good deck. That's a good. That'll win a lot of games. That deck. Whose is that again?
this is Rafael Aslan, the 1996 world champion. This is what he ran
Hey,
in 2000.
he's pretty good.
He's a good deck. Now, I
Yeah.
mean, I'll show you Yannick's deck. Yannick got second place. Yannick ran a deck similar to Zutton. I think he was on Gemp a couple of years ago. Um,
Similar to Zutton.
yes, sir. You remember Zutton?
Oh, okay. I remember Zutton. I don't
Yeah.
know who he really is, but I remember him.
Yeah, Brendan. So Zun was obviously inspired by this one. So the big difference between this deck and Zun's deck is that Zun had like a Monarch here, but it's the same
Yeah,
principle
Zutton
of
was an old time player.
yeah.
I know whose decks he copied. So he's been around a long time.
But
He just buried his alt.
yeah, I almost beat you with a deck similar to this one. You still beat me anyway, but
It's a good deck.
I mean it is. I mean in GIMP when we don't have frozen assets, Imperial Barrier can really stop, people from fighting you. And
Yeah.
you
And
know,
in that I take out maybe only have 2, but it's a good deck.
yeah. No, it's good.
Yeah.
Um, okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I guess maybe we can go on to the kind of next point. So you said that you stopped playing in 2000. So did you still collect cards at all, after 2000, after
No.
PDS2, or you just cold turkey or what?
All right. So here's what happened. It was a cluster. I have a kid at home. There were whiners. It's supposed to be a world finals. They couldn't organize the tournament right. And I never knew who was behind it. And then I watched Clint Hayes's thing to try to remember what happened because it popped up. I listened to I didn't watch it, it was a podcast.
Yeah.
And he explains what he had done for, and he explained how Raphael blew a gasket, but I blew a gasket too. It happened to me. And at that point was when I decided I'm done. And so they blacked out all the cards. They made it so you couldn't see the picture. They left the destiny numbers and they left writing. And then some of them used Japanese cards. So you didn't even know what the card it was. You had to keep everything memorized.
Hmm.
And Decipher allowed that. I guess he was the one who did it. And he bragged about it. I didn't know who was behind it. And they got it ahead of time the judges, which are just people and friends of people, they got their permission to say that was okay. And so the final 12, if you ran into one of those guys, you didn't know what you were playing, and I ran into one of those guys. And so it was just like, whatever. I lost so badly. I made a mistake, didn't know what card. I got confused which card was where. And I'm like, I don't understand how they could do that. So I literally threw out all the Corvettes and Star Destroyers I had. I had foiled Corvettes and foiled Star Destroyer. Like, I'm not playing this game anymore. And I never picked up another card. Now I have every card because when I got back into it, I said, oh, I want every card again. But after I was done with my temper tantrum, because I couldn't believe that happened. And he talks about it. And 2 weeks later, Decipher banned it, but Decipher was losing their license anyways. So I had never seen anything like that before. And I didn't think anybody with a reasonable mind would allow such a thing to happen. So
Why were they marking these cards with Sharpies? I don't understand.
so you would get confused. And some people like me associate everything with a picture. So I'm a visual learner. I can count and I can remember. So when you to knock my visual learning out where I can't see the picture, I have to remember what card it is. Now I'm not remembering what the trackings of the destinies are, and it throws my whole game off. And it was made legal.
Okay.
So
And the reason
so
was
at
just
that
because
point
they
I was
wanted
just
to.
having fun because I got paired up against Kevin Shannon. I decided to have fun because I wasn't going to win. I wasn't going to win it after that beatdown. So I'm going to have fun. And so I just played and had fun the rest of the game. I didn't throw it or anything, but I didn't, you know, I did tried fun things versus trying to win a game and grind it out. Because no matter what I did, I was not going to make final three after they pulled that on me. So, and same thing happened to Raphael. He in the in the in the podcast, he's laughing about it. And I guess looking back, it's kind of funny now that he got away with it. But at the time, it wasn't funny. And
Sure.
he was talking about how Raphael blew a gasket and went to all the, but I blew a gasket too.
Yeah.
So, and it was a big cluster. 2000 looked like a company that wanted to go bankrupt. That's what it looked like, in my opinion. All the things they did right in previous, they messed up. And then I didn't know about this, but I saw it from your video when you showed me where Johnny Choose was. Remember, I asked you for that one?
Yeah.
I didn't know he got disqualified for having one less card.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't. I understand why they did it, but I wouldn't have disqualified him. Would said you need to declare that one card so you can't keep switching it depending on who you're playing.
Right.
Because if you leave it blank, it can be any card you want it to be. I know Johnny from when I played him wouldn't do that, but that they need to have a rule like that. But to just guy goes all the way to World Final, gets disqualified because he didn't write one card down. That's an easy mistake. I mean,
It
so
is. I mean, apparently they had issues like with Michael Riboulet. I guess he was like, I guess all the comments I see online, like he said, like a known cheater, like he would activate force or do things, and then apparently the Decipher
I don't know
steps.
who he is.
Yeah, well, I mean, he got like second at Worlds in 1999, right? He didn't win. He never won a championship, but he got high up there. But I guess Decipher like said they couldn't police because it's supposed to be a two-person game and you're supposed to check each other, and maybe it was a way to try to get rid of bad players who would be sneaky, but maybe it was just badly.
Yeah, but that's where get really comes through. I mean, it's really clear cut.
Yeah,
You make a mistake and you throw. Somebody could, if I was playing a regular game now, somebody could throw down Leia and Han and all this and try to battle my hunt down deck, and I might forget she's a Skywalker.
right.
And GEP holds you to that rule. It's a rule. And
Yes.
so that's the nice thing about GEP and the policing and stuff. And like I saw that part where Hayes said I put a gravity shadow in the use pile. If I did, it's embarrassing because that is cheating. It's an unintentional. I'm not saying I didn't do it because I don't remember the game at all. I don't even remember who he is.
Yeah.
And so when I saw his videos, when I saw him, but um, but that type of stuff happens. Accidents happen. And that's where GEMP takes those accidents out. It just can't happen. And that's where if you had a judge, accidents wouldn't happen. You'd have clarification. So there's certain things to be strict with, and there's certain things not to. The rules of the game should be strict. Because I remember in a World Finals game earlier, it was bizarre. It was a landing claw. The guy forgot to attach his landing claw. I declared each of my phases. I go, I'm leaving my control phase. I'm now in my deploy phase. I start deploying. I'm now going into my battle phase. I battle, and he goes, oh no, I wanted to attach. I go, well, you didn't attach. And so we called over the judges, and the judge went, it's a mistake. Let them redo it. So they went from that in the earlier World Finals, that was in like 97, to you didn't declare who your pilots are. You declared your first two pilots, and you now want to switch it. You didn't say it. It acted like GIMP.
Yeah.
You don't get it. So that's just what happens. It happened, but it did leave a lot of bitter taste in some people's mouth. I'm bitter about the blacking out the cards. Johnny's bitter about
They disqualified.
being
Yeah.
disqualified. Clint's bitter about Gravity Shadow or me not letting him do his mistake over. Everyone's bitter about something. And so that's not a good tournament when everyone's upset for some reason. That just doesn't, it wasn't a good way for them to end,
I
if that
agree.
answers
I
your
agree. I
question.
mean, they had one
So,
more. They had one more Worlds, I guess, ish. The next year. But I
but
guess,
that wasn't official.
yeah, it was on. Yeah, yeah, it was made then canceled, and they had an unofficial one. Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So there were only five, because I would have probably come back for that one just to try to to see if I could undo the last thing I needed to do. Because I was number one in the world in the rankings. I was the only guy to do the four world finals all 4 days to do that. I won an open. I won every sort of type of tournament. I could never win the world championship, and winning it now is like Barry Bonds with home run record. It's going to have an asterisk. It's not the real world. There's only five in my mind real world winners, and it wasn't me. So I can't get it back. So that's the only reason why I don't have that drive to try to do it. Doesn't negate anybody who does it. I'm just saying, for me, that's how I feel.
No, no, I understand. I mean, I mean, it's technically a dead card game. We have the PC. It's nice that we have GAMP. It's nice that we have people still enthusiastic about it. But I understand the
It
perspective.
shouldn't be dead though. There was a time I met with the players committee, and I had talked to Lucasfilm, and they put me in the direction, and then COVID happened. But it was, I think, Final Fantasy Flight Games or whatever had the rights to it, and
Yeah,
I was going in that direction to try to revive this game because I thought there was enough collectability and enough people out there that would still buy the cards. And then they released another version, another game,
Star Wars
and
Unlimited. Yeah,
people are
yeah.
unlimited. I don't know if the game's any good or not, but it sold well. So I was right on that aspect. It was time for a game, but COVID hit, and then they did that. I'm like, nobody's going to like my idea now. If COVID didn't hit, I thought we had a chance. Because I
Hmm.
did talk to Warren Holland, and he gave me the blessing. He said, you can use the game mechanics. It's all up to whether or not Lucasfilm will, and Final Fantasy do it. And then it just didn't happen. But because it doesn't need to be a dead game. It's so cool, and the collectability is there for Star Wars. And now you can have Rogue One, and if you're a old school type of player where you like the original trilogy, and then you can go off and do some different things if you're a newer player and you like Acolyte, which I'm not a fan of, but there are people out there.
There, there
So
are. No, I mean, I like some of the newer Star Wars things. I mean, I enjoyed Andor's second season, so there's I think there's a couple gems, depending on your opinion, but
yeah,
um,
Rogue One, Andor.
yeah. No, I agree with you there, surprisingly. Yeah, I guess it
Why are
comes
you
down to money,
surprised? Should agree with me more often.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding, man. I'm just giving you a hard time, Bill.
it's all good. So I guess favorite format, Star Wars CCG. Joe Horby, he says his favorite format is Premier Indoor. What about you? What do you say your favorite Star Wars CCG format is?
Favorite to play or what I'm the best at?
How about you tell me both? Well, what's your favorite to play? What are you best at? Sure.
Probably favorite to play is DS2 or Reflections 2 because it's a more balanced game.
Okay.
I'm probably better Premier A New Hope, the very first one.
Okay.
I just, I for some reason that's just in my wheelhouse.
Okay.
But people I play test with, like Eddie, he hates that format. So it's each to their own. And I actually enjoy open. I don't know the cards, but it's because the pictures are not the same as what I associate in my head with, you know. But
Yeah, no, you're right. They reuse some images in some cases. I appreciate that the open nowadays they tend to use more unique images. But yeah, we still have some, you know,
yeah,
target
I'm
V and
not a
things
big
like that.
fan of the fake images, the not the real characters. I want to see Harrison Ford in that Han picture, or whoever plays Andor in the Andor's picture. I don't want to see some stranger, but I know that they're trying to do it, and I appreciate them for what they do. Me personally, I'm just a kind of a purist with that.
I agree. I guess they want to abide by the agreement. And they don't want to like set up like a Taiwanese company and people want to be legit. I guess I mean surely there'd be a way to release this game, play this game, but maybe they could get taken down. They don't want that, so okay, whatever.
No, they're great people. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't have to do this, so I appreciate them. Nothing's a slam on them, so it's just
I
you know.
agree. So, out of the missing cards in GIMP, are there any that if they were released, would you play it again?
What do you mean?
Cards like Frozen Assets, cards like
Of course,
Frustration.
frozen assets is a nasty, nasty card. You know, So I know Andy and I have a polar opposite view on banning cards.
Yeah,
I don't think you should ban cards. It's not my job or his job or anybody's job to um, redo a game we all enjoyed. This is I didn't create the game, he didn't create the game. So banning a card now, call it open, but you can't call it retro. I think every card in the format that was made at the time should be played and legal. And if you want to modify it for a tournament sake, okay, I'm not a big fan of that either, but put the cards in that stop the counters. You know, that's just what I think. Now, anything past reflection 2 wasn't practiced. So I then take everything I said about Decipher. They just threw cards out for money and they didn't look at what it was going to do to the game after reflections too. So but up until reflection 2, they really took time. I mean, they when they realized something was broken, they altered the card themselves or put out a counter like a no escape. You know,
they did. They did, and yeah, I mean your criticisms are I tend to agree with them. I mean, and Johnny Chu's talk about the maintenance cards. People hate maintenance cards on GIMP. That's been known for a long time. Um, I've seen you play open a couple times. I haven't seen you play. Have you played like the cipher cards only? Even with the pod racing and Jedi stuff. Have you played that before? You're not a big fan, or tell me about that.
no, I don't play that. I don't play that, but I play. Have you seen my open games?
I've seen you
Almost
play. You're
every
usually playing
card.
Hunt Down, right? Most of the time.
It's because it's a vintage. Almost every card is a vintage Decipher card that I'm playing. I have like the Vader. I have one of the versions, and I play that Mustafar because you have to pull them out. But the deck doesn't have weird images, and it looks really cool and does it. I mean, I think I have very few cards and then I play a Thrawn deck, which is almost entirely, if not entirely, the original cards that Decipher made, with the exception of the starting interrupt puller and the starting effect puller. or whatever that's called when you get the shield
Yeah,
pull,
yeah, yeah. Correct.
which you have to have. So, in other words, you can't even play open because it's your only protection.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. Okay, I think we've talked about a good history. We've talked about some of your PDS2 decks. We talked about kind of your favorite format, what you're best at. You gave advice earlier, and Joe Horby said similar thing that you need to play the games. You need to not quit. Even if you think you're going to lose, that's very true. We talked a
Good for
little bit
Joe.
about not deploying, not fighting till you're ready, and so that we can see that in kind of like reactor terminal, traffic control. You're kind of used to that. Any other tactical things that would help people be better, right? I mean, there's tracking cards, but what else can people do to just kind of get to closer to your level?
Well, there. Read The Art of War by Sun Tzu. That
Okay.
would help.
Okay.
Okay, and then enjoy the game and put strategy and enjoyment. You're going to not want to quit a game.
Okay.
If you enjoy it the whole time and you take it as a challenge, then you'll slowly build up and get better. And look at how much better. And I don't mean this in any sort of condescending way for a lot of these players, but look at how much better you and Andy and Eddie and all these players I didn't know about are now beating players that have been playing for years. You guys are putting in the dues, and it's going to be my turn where I get whacked down, and it's my hats off to you. That's just part of the game.
I appreciate that. Obviously, there's some decks that I've never seen you play, right? I've never seen you play a profit deck. I've never seen you play a speeders deck. I've never seen you play any of these quote unquote maybe like one trick pony decks. Is that just because you know the competition so well? And like you said earlier, if you
No,
only
I play a profit deck. I don't play a speeder deck.
yeah,
And the reason I didn't play a speeder deck is I didn't create it purely from my brain. I saw somebody else do it, and until I can wrap my head around it in my head, why every card's there and what its purpose is and how I'm going to be able to win each game and not just do it with one trick. I think it's funny as heck. I saw somebody do an overflow and wipe somebody out and nailed them. And I don't remember who it was, but it was a really good player. I remember lost to a newer player with that speeder deck, and it went flying through. And I think they who jinxed or gooked, whichever one their side was, and but they didn't have two, and the second one went through, and that was the end of it. So I don't remember what game. I just remember seeing that. And I was like, oh man, that was brutal. Actually, I don't even think I saw it. I think somebody sent me the replay. I think that I don't want to say the person's name, but I think they said, check this out. Look what I did. I went, whoa. It was a good player they were playing. I can't remember who they were, but I think I remember who sent it to me.
okay,
So
okay, cool.
yeah, that's so. But yeah, that deck I haven't played, but I'll play a profit after this.
Okay.
I have a couple profits.
All right. I would love to see a Dr. Torch version of Prophet, like his take on it. I would love to.
But again, it's pretty much stolen from Dark Deal, Kevin. He's mastered the profit, so I just take his ideas and put a little spin on mine. But I'm nowhere as good as he at playing profit. That's like his baby.
It is. It is. It is for sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, anything
Well,
else you want to share about anything?
no, I hope it was interesting. If I hope I didn't bore you. So,
Not at all. Not at all. No, it was great. It was great, Dr. Torch. Appreciate it, and I think people will love it. So thanks so much.
all right, nice talking with you.
Likewise. Take care. Bye bye.
All right, see you. Bye.